Welcome to Survivor Stories. Today we have Jenya Kutner with us, and we are very delighted and honored to have you tell your story to people of all ages who may not know the depth of the Holocaust and how it impacted people and what they lost and how they survived, like you, Jenya. Before we came on camera, you said that you remember everything like it was yesterday. What did you say? Tell everybody.
I remember everything what happened like it happened yesterday. It stands in front of my eyes, every step I made since I remember myself even before the war. Since I was 6, since I went to the Hebrew school in Poland.
So let's start there. And tell us a little bit about your childhood before the war.
My childhood before the war was a beautiful childhood. I had a mother and a father, very, very wonderful people and wonderful parents. My father was a director in a lumberyard factory, and my mother was a homemaid because in those days the women didn't work. I come from the city Pinsk, which is eastern Poland, not far from the Russian border. That's why we survived. We could run to Russia. And it was a comfortable life. We were children having friends, playing outside, going to the Hebrew school. My parents sent us, me, my brother, and the little brother didn't go to school yet. But I was 11 when the war broke out. My brother was 13, and I have a 3-year-old little brother. And life was good. And suddenly it happened what happened.
Tell us how things changed. What do you remember about things changing?
I remember when I was 11, my father came home and told my mother, I'm running away because I was a director and the Germans are killing the elite, the doctors, the rabbis, the lawyers. When they come in, they kill them right away. So he was afraid that it will happen something to him. But my mother said to him, I'm sorry, I'm not staying alone here with 3 children. I'm going with you, or you stay home. And he started to argue. I remember like yesterday. He said, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I will eat. I don't know where I will sleep. How can I take you with 3 children? But she said, I don't care. I'm going. And thanks to her, we survived. So my father had no choice, and he gave in. And she made little packages for us to carry. And our city was bombarded. And after the bombardment, the Germans were already a week later, when we left, a week later, the Germans already captured our city. So we started to run, and we ran by foot to the Russian border. And it took us 3 days. On the way, the peasants wanted to take away from us and wanted even to kill us. Some of them came up, 2 of them came up with a hack, and we saw dead people already. Unfortunately, Poland was anti-Semitic, what can I tell you? But not everybody, we do have righteous Gentiles. And we were running to the train, and then the train took us to a city named Mikashevich on the border of Russia. And at night, somehow, train came, and many people went up, and we went up with them, and we crossed the Russian border. And that's when we started for 2 years to run. We were in trains. To our good luck, Russia gave us trains. Tens of thousands of people were running. And the way when we came later, we had people from Romania, from Hungary, from Bulgaria. The entire Europe was running. Whoever could and whoever had the sechel, the wisdom to run, because most of the people didn't run, and that's why they all were killed. So we were running, we were in cattle cars, packed up 50, 60 of us, and we were with the little brother, and me and my father. Every few hours, the train stopped in the field, and we ran out to release ourselves. Who cared what we are, how we do, what we do? We released ourselves. If we were lucky and we had a little stream of water, we ran and we washed ourselves and we drank the water and we did, and we ran back to the train and we continued. In every week or every 2 weeks, the Germans were a little too far from us. The Russians took us off from the trains and they put us in a kolkhoz. A kolkhoz is like a kibbutz. It's a village, a village that the people live together like in a kibbutz. They took us in and we could wash ourselves and have a little more food. We were starving. The biggest enemy that was our enemy was the starvation. And they gave us, and we rested a little bit, and we had to work in the kolkhoz in the fields. And the kolkhoz is like the villages, and when we heard in the radio that the Germans are closer already to our place, we ran again. And this the way we ran for 2 years until the Germans in Stalingrad, they lost the war in Stalingrad. And this was in 1943. We started to run in 1941 because in Poland, the Germans attacked Poland in 1939. But Western Poland, Central Poland, the Germans took over. Eastern Poland, they divided Poland in two, and Eastern Poland, we were from Eastern Poland. And when they turned back to go back to Poland, we stopped running, but the Russians brought us to Uzbekistan. And our train came to Uzbekistan, and over there, I must tell you, they took care of us. Over there, they waited for us, and they took us again to a kolkhoz. Unfortunately, in the kolkhoz, they were not ready for so many people. People who were running, unbelievable how many. And they put us in a barn. They didn't have homes for us, of course. They put us in a barn, and 8 families with little children. The straw was our mattress. Our coats were our blankets, and they gave us a little bit food to eat because they knew how we were starving. And unfortunately, a few days later, we had babies. Our baby was 3 years old, and they started to get the whooping cough and maybe diphtheria, and there was no doctors and no hospitals and no medicine. And unfortunately, my little brother died over there after 2 years that he hold it out. He died in this place. Now we were on the kolkhoz, and they told us we have to go and help them in the fields, and they gave us pita. Over there's pita, like Uzbekistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Kutner. This is Eastern Russia. But the Uzbeks were nice to us, and we didn't have enough food that they gave us. I used to go and I used to battle. Please give me a piece of bread. Please, please give me a little something. And they were nice. They gave us. But then my father heard that there's a silk factory of 800 people 3 kilometers from the kolkhoz in a little city called Cholka-Matalka. And this is next to Fergana. I give details, maybe somebody survived in the same place as I did. And because he was a director, and because he knew Russian, he was accepted right away. Thousands of people were there. Our food was a pita a day, that's all. Because if we tripled, we quadrupled over there in this little town. We got one room, there were barracks, rooms. We got one room with one little room, and this was our living room, our bedroom, our kitchen, everything. The four of us were cooped in this place, but we were happy. We always said it's better than in the concentration camps and in the ghettos. And my father was accepted because he was a director in his factory. He knew how to handle things. And I went still to school. I was still young. In Russia, you have to go to school until 16. You must go. So I knew Russian very well. And my brother got a job in a bakery. My father got a job in a factory. And then when I finished school, my father arranged that I should work in the factory in an office. So I worked in the office, and my husband was was also in charge of 20 machines that he knew. The silk factory was exactly his profession. He was a weaver. He came from Lodz. And in Lodz, the industry of material is very popular. So this was exactly for him. So that's where I met my husband. And we stayed in Russia until 1945. 1945, 2 years. That was our life. Not a perfect life, but certainly not a very bad life, My brother used to bring a little bit bread. If you hear me speak, I speak only about bread, because this is all what we had, a little bread. And sometimes he used to bring flour, and my mother found somewhere a pot, and she cooked it outside, because we were in one room cooked up outside with the wood, the wood that you put, and was water, only water. That's all what we had. We didn't have anything else. Water in flour, and they named it zacherucha, and that's what we had from time to time. But we managed, and in 1945 we came back. It was a big chaos. The trains, you did pay, you didn't pay, you went on, people were going through the window, people were going on top of the roofs, because very many people were going back to their homes, to Poland, to Hungary, to Bulgaria, to Romania. And we were 3 weeks in this train, but we did have a little bit of money, a little bit, because we got paid, we worked. My brother worked, I worked, my father worked, my mother never worked. She never worked. That's why she didn't want to stay home with us, because she was very dependent on my father. And so in these 3 weeks coming home, also cattle trains, the people used to come over to us and bring us a piece of bread, and we still had money to pay them. And then we came to the city lodge. My father does not want to go to Pinsberg because he didn't like the Russian regime. This was under Stalin, and the regime was so strong, any little bit, and you are being sent to Siberia. It was a dictatorship. You couldn't say a word. If you said one word against Russia or one word against Stalin, boom, somebody already heard it and said it, and you are out of, and you are in Siberia. So he decided we are going to Lodz, to Poland. Lodz is central Poland. Now, what do? No home, very little money. So we did meet Jewish people coming back from the concentration camps and from the ghettos. And they told us, go to the Gemine. Gemine is the Kehillah. The Kehillah is the Jewish people. We came in November. The war ended in May. So from May to November, our people, our Jewish people, already opened an office that people came in, they directed them what to do. So they told us, go on Autovicha 32. I am giving details, maybe somebody's from Lodz. 32, we had the Kehillah, the community, the Jewish community. We walked in, every wall was with names. I survived, I survived, I survived, I survived. And guess what? My husband, we weren't married yet, but my husband, he was my fiance, found 3 sisters that survived. My husband came from 11 children, 7 children survived. A miracle. 7 survived. 5 sisters and 2 brothers. 2 brothers, both were in Russia, but we didn't know about the brother in Russia. We met him later in the DP camp. And he found 3 sisters. 2 of them are in Leipzig. One of them, and the other one was in Lodz. So my husband went to the sister, and sister said, you are not married. I don't have room, but I can take you in. To our luck, in this Kehillah, 2 young men walked over to my father, and they told to my father, would you like to go to Israel? And my father said, yes, I am a Zionist. As a matter of fact, I sent my 2 children in Poland to Hebrew school. The name of the school was Tarbut. And my desire was always to go to Israel, but I wasn't ready yet. I wanted the children should grow up a little older and then go to Israel. But he said, I don't have any money and I can't buy. And the British are blockading Israel. So I don't know how, don't worry, we can take you. Who were they? A clandestine organization opened up named Bricha, escape, run away. Now we came to Poland, it was a vast cemetery. We didn't find, my parents, my father had 5 brothers and sisters, nobody survived. married with little children. My mother had 4 brothers and sisters, one sister in Israel that she went many years earlier. In 1933, she went to Israel. But we didn't find anybody. So my father said, we are not staying in Poland. We want to go to Israel. So they said, come, we will take you. The only thing is, you can't take your children. My brother, me, I was already 17 now, 18. My brother and me and my future husband. I will bring you to a kibbutz. Would you believe they already opened a gathering together? It's bricha, a gathering of young men and women. And they left us in the kibbutz. And they took the parents away and they said, don't worry, we are taking you to Israel and clandestine. And they said, we will bring your children, they will come after you. We have little boats that we can't put all of you together. And they left. It took us 3 years until we got together. They were in Israel already when we passed what we passed. Whenever we came to a place, I was told, yes, your parents were here, but they are already farther. So listen what happened. 7 months took us until our turn came to leave Lodz. In 1946, in April, they came for us. We were a kibbutz. The food was okay, mostly we had the bread with jam, a cup of coffee. It's good. We were singing, we were dancing, we are going to Israel. And they took us, the bricha, took us and we were in DP camps opened meantime. DP camps, displaced person camps opened meantime. In Germany, what do you believe in Germany? In Germany, in Paris, in Italy. So they took us to a home by food. I have pictures. Where some pictures by food, they took by truck. They took us to Salzheim am Main, next to Fergana. Clothes used to go, probably the old clothes that I give away now, the Americans gave away. We used to go and we used to choose. Anyway, we survived. We were 6 months in Germany until they came for us, because very many people wanted to go to Israel, and the Brecha didn't have so many boats. And then they took us to Italy. In Italy, we were in Perpelice, a group of 30 of us, waiting for the aliyah. It was called in Hebrew aliyah bet, aliyah, to go up to Israel. And then finally, they came for us. They took us at night. It's all very clandestine. But it was a chaos. I guess the Italian police didn't mind what's going on. So they took us on rickety boats, small boats. I have a picture. If I will show a picture, will you see it?
Yes, you have to show it where
Yeah.
you could see it.
Yeah.
Show it to me. Okay, let's see.
Yeah. In rickety boats, they took us 700 people.
Oh my goodness. We see it now.
796 people.
Wow.
100 children. They married in the DP camps. very many people married. Can I take away?
Yes, yes.
Very
Wow.
many, very many people married in the DP camps. Somebody said the biggest marriage that happened in the DP camps, 100 children, and they brought us to this rickety. This was standing in the middle of it's in the middle of the ocean. They took us on little boats and they brought us over to this boat, and they told us you have to go down, and down, you know, when we go down, you have this is important for me. You should see how
Okay.
how we were.
Move it in front of your face a little bit. Hold it straight.
Here, look.
Can you pick it up? Pick it up a
Here.
little bit. Pick it up.
Do you see these people? These people. How,
Okay.
how they're lying down
Okay. Can you straighten the picture? Straighten it so we could see.
in the
Oh,
middle. That's the way we moved in.
wow.
That's the way we moved into this boat, and we were 12 days in the ocean. This took us 12 days to get to Israel.
Did you get sick on the boat? Did you get sick on the boat?
The first 4 days, I'm getting it exactly what I want to say. The first 4 days, we got sick and we vomited, and it was a chaos, and the little children were crying. And don't ask. So we all were a little down. Our food was bread and sardines and cocoa. Sardines doesn't come into my house up to date. And yeah, because all sardines, they gave us cups of sardines. It doesn't matter. The food doesn't matter. It matters that after the 4 days, we started to feel better. We were singing in the 12 days. We were joking. We were helping out the mothers with the little children. That's what we did in the 12 days. Now we came closer to the Israeli border. The British blockade intercepted us. And we knew about it. Some from 1945 to 1948, the Brecha worked. 94 vessels went the same way as we did, and some of them made it. When they came in at night, the kibbutz people was waiting for them, and they used to pick them up and bring them the kibbutz and drown the boat, and that's it. Our boat didn't make it. We were intercepted by the British, and four British surrounded us.
Wow.
Wow, this little midget boat with 700 people. Well,
Wow.
we came, yes, they surrounded us, and they brought us to Haifa. When they brought us to Haifa, we, in defiance, all got up on the deck, and we were all singing the Hatikva, all 700 people. Up to date, the picture how we are standing and singing the Hatikva. I do have a picture. Sweetheart, take a look. That's the way we arrived. Here's the boat.
Wow.
Here we are all on the deck. Can you see?
Yes, yes.
Here we are all on the deck, and we are singing the Hatikva. And if you see on the bottom are standing other people, and they yell to us, don't worry, we are fighting for you. This was 1947. 1947. We did not have yet Israel. Israel was established in 48. And what did they do, the British? They took us, they didn't let us go down. Right away, they transferred us to these big their ships, and they brought us to the island Cyprus. And the island Cyprus. This is barracks. Every boat.
Can you move it a little bit in front of your face? There you go. Okay.
They brought in very many. We were 20,000 of us in Cyprus. It happened that we came late in November. There were already camps over there, so they didn't have for us, and they gave us in a tent. I, my brother, and my husband lived in a tent for a whole year in Cyprus. Imagine winter in a tent. I remember when the rain came, my husband used to hold one slope, my brother used to hold the other slope from the tent. I used to hold the middle top. It shouldn't fall on us. And many did fall, and we had to take in other friends. We all became friends in Cyprus. Anyway, we were in Cyprus under barbed wires. Again, those that were in concentration camp, they were again under barbed wires, but still they said, still it's better than in the concentration camp and in the ghetto. The food was nice, not too much, but whatever we got, it was good enough. And they opened a seminary, Seminar Rutenberg, the name that, and they sent us Israeli. They let in the British, and they sent us Israeli teachers. So what we did this year, I went to learn Hebrew, but I knew Hebrew. I already knew Hebrew, a fluent Hebrew, because I started my childhood, and then in the PCAMs, everybody went to learn to be a seamstress. The Ort came to help us in the DP camps. I didn't like to sit at the machine, so I went to learn. And we opened little groups. Whoever knew a little more Hebrew told the other one. And we were there a whole year until Golda Meir told them, listen, these people went through a lot. She said it to the British. Let the children and the elderly, let them out from here. We will take them and we will worry about them. We will supply whatever they need. But the elderly and the children, please let them out. So the British agreed. I was already 18 and a half, 19. And when I came up, and when I came up, a soldier was sitting and looking at each one of us. But I had two braids and I was skinny like this. So I passed like 16. So they let me out, but not the men, the military men. My brother and my husband, they did not let out. They came a year and a half later. They were 2.5 years. Yeah. So I came out, and it was very close to to the War of Independence. Ben Gurion proclaimed the country, and he started to take people to the army. And I said, and the women didn't go to the battles yet. Today they go all over, but not yet, not in 1948. And I said to my father, I didn't have my fiancé, so I said to my father, I want to go to the army. And I went to the army, and this is myself in the army.
Show, bring it closer and in front of your face, a little bit higher. Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
me in the Israeli army. To my,
Wow.
to
Wow.
my, I was 1 year, until my husband came. When it was proclaimed already, the Jewish state, they brought all of them from Cyprus to Israel. And I knew fluent Hebrew, so I was lucky. And I worked in an office in Israel. And we worked 16, 18 hours a day because I worked in the main office that we sent ammunition whoever needed. You know, we used to get phone calls, we are short in ammunition, we are short in people. Unfortunately, we lost, you know, I think we lost 6,000, and most of them were drafted to the army. The 20,000, when they came straight from the boat, they went to the army. Me too, right away. I was maybe 2, 3 days with my father, and they came over to me and they asked me, "You want to go to the army? You have to. You have to. Not you have to. You want to go? No, you have to go to the army." But my father was a gabbai in a synagogue, so he said to me, "I can work it out for you as a religious girl." I said, "No, no, no. I will be ashamed to walk around at my age in Israel. I want to go to the army." Anyway, I was in the army for a year, and then in 1949 we married, and now I married my husband. We settled in Kiryat Chaim, a half an hour from Haifa, and it was my husband found right away work because there was a factory of the same also material factory. We have to support Israel very much because unfortunately anti-Semitism is starting again. We are again the scapegoat, like we were the entire history in our history. And if Israel would exist, we wouldn't lose 6 million people. But now we have to stay vigilant and fight if we see that something is wrong, not to stay and do nothing, because passive people don't reach any goal, and we have to stay vigilant. It should never, never, never happen what happened to our people. And there are millions that died in this Second War too, not Jewish people. But we paid only for our name for being Jewish. So let's, Am Yisrael Chai, we are 3,000 years, 4,000 years, some say 5,000, whatever. We are here, Am Yisrael Chai, we are here forever. Stay strong and be proud that we are Jewish.
Jenya, you have articulated your story so beautifully. We are so lucky to have you today. And also, we're so lucky that you tell your story to so many people of all ages. And now this will be another way that your story will get out there in the world.
I speak already 40 years. I speak already and I have thank yous. I have a whole bunch. I have the thousands of thank yous. We go to schools. I belong now to a group of survivors. Not too many of us are speakers, not too many of us live already, but we go to schools and we speak. and I speak. I don't sit, and I'm very active in our synagogue. I am for 29 years. I'm in Florida. 30 years I was teaching in Solomon School. You know, I'm a Hebrew teacher. I didn't say it yet. I went to New York, and because I knew Hebrew well, and my goal was always to be a teacher. I went at the age of 37 to get my teacher's diploma, and I worked 30 years in the Salma Schechter School in New York, and 19 years I am in Florida, and 29 years in Florida, and I am teaching in the synagogue for adults. Very many, 300 people maybe I told already to read Hebrew, and Israel is so dear to me that I always push and push about Israel. So I speak, I don't sit and do nothing.
Well, the Jewish world is so lucky to have you, and the rest of the world too, because you're telling your story is so important, and I feel so grateful to you today because you articulated it so well that it's so clear. You what you went through, how you survived,
I speak.
and you're such a good teacher. You're such a good teacher.
Yeah, this I can do. I have 9 honors on my wall from the
9 honors for teaching.
for teaching
I
from,
believe it.
from 3 synagogues. One in New York. I started to already teach in New York, the synagogues, and from the school. I got $10,000 as the best teacher in the Salman Schechter School, an award. And here I have the Shem Tov Award, the Good Name Award.
Mhm.
I have 2 medallions. One that we gave money, quite a bit money for Israel. So Israel gave me a medal. I have it. You want to see it?
Sure, go bring it, bring it. We'd love to see it.
Yes, I don't know why I didn't think about it. I didn't know that. I have 9 like this for the teaching. I have 9 hanging on my wall.
Okay, tilt it a little bit because there's light in it. Okay. Well, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And,
Jenya,
and these are the
let's see the bottom. Yeah, let's see the medallion. Oh, beautiful. Who gave you this?
the synagogue for working. I was in charge of the Yom HaShoah, the Holocaust commemoration. I am in charge 29 years here in Florida. So they gave me this medal, and this medal Israel gave me. F-I,
Let's see, FIDF or what? Let's see. Oh, yeah, FIDF. Beautiful, beautiful.
so we accomplished something.
I wish I could give you something today, but let me say that what we do give
No,
you is this platform so
you,
that your
you know,
story will go big. Your story will go far and wide, Jenya.
thank you. You know, you don't have to give me nothing. You gave me a present. And in the name of the survivors, I speak now because I have another friend who wants to speak if you are ready. In the name of the survivors, I thank you for inviting us, for keeping up our legacy and spreading it all over the world. And you deserve the most. You deserve. You accomplished in the 15 years. And my daughter, I'm so proud of my daughter working in Stand With Us and doing for Israel and for the Jewish people what you are doing. You did something very special with this Stand With Us. That's why I'm supporting Stand With Us.
Thank you. Thank you for everything, and thank you for your support. You and so many people like you have helped us grow and stay strong. So thank you very much.
And stay safe and let us hear only good news from each other.
That's right. You bet. You should live long, stay healthy, and all good things to you.
I have a son, a doctor. He's also a member in the synagogue. He's also JNF. Yeah, I was. We were honored by JNF. I have it on my Jewish. Yeah, my son also. I have a grandson, a doctor, who is also in a grandson, a businessman. I forgot already. He's on the yacht, the captain of the yacht, of a yacht. And we all support Israel, and we all support, stand with us, and good luck to you.
Jenya, you should continue telling your story bis 120 until 120. Continue teaching and telling your story. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you stay well.
Thank you all for joining us today to hear Jenya Kutner's amazing story of survival. We'll see you next time on Survivor Stories.